father was a man that wasn't really happy about my Bigfoot endeavors. He thought it was crazy, but he knew I would do my best to bring truth and fact to the subject. So, Bigfoot or Big Not. So when everything started for me, I've been married almost 34 years now, and I grew up around my husband. I've known him since I was 13, and after we got married, he kept telling me a story of him going into the woods. He was going to go with a buddy of his in Angelina National Forest back in 1983. When everybody drove the big four-wheel drives, you could literally drive into the forest and down off the forestry roads and go back miles if you could get back there. And him and his buddy had been going to a certain location about 2 miles off their main forestry road and skipping and hunting a lot. And this one weekend, they were both going, but Dawn was going to go on Friday and Richard was coming on Saturday. So Don ventures out, and back then when he would camp, he would just take his firearm, his sleeping bag, and a few things to eat, something to drink, and sleep under the tailgate of his truck next to his campfire. Well, long story short, he was in his sleeping bag and by the campfire, and he hears something in the tree line start to circle his camp. And the first thought he had, because it was such a loud, big animal, he felt, but certainly there were no cows in the area. And but he tried to convince himself it wasn't really anything to worry about, but it continued. And he said by the time it made its way around the camp completely on its about a third or fourth into the second pass, it was breaking very large branches in the trees. And he didn't know what to think. He was scared to death, and he described it as being invited to leave the forest. So he jumps up, grabs his sleeping bag, throws everything in the truck, runs over the campfire, and sleeps at the gas station in town. His partner comes out. They go back. Don is freaked out. He doesn't know what to think. He really doesn't even think Bigfoot, because back in the 80s, who would have thought Bigfoot here? It just wasn't a common thing. So, but basically, it was a torn up area around the camp, and that was that. And he never talked about it again. Didn't talk to anybody else about it. But a couple of years later, he had another episode with the same guy and a couple of other gentlemen while they were coyote hunting and spotlighting, and saw a large figure in a tree line in a meadow, and they were on the ridge. But he said it had giant green eyes, and it would duck above a branch and below a branch, and then from side to side. And he said, "There's no way that the raccoon or possum could turn their heads." But everybody wanted to shoot it, and Don said, "No, you can't shoot it. You just can't shoot it. We don't know what it is. You can't shoot it." Well, anyway, long story short, he never talked about that either. And he actually didn't talk about that to me until later. He talked about the original story at least once a month. And he would try to get me to figure out what it was. We would go over it. It would be like on a Sunday afternoon. Our kids would be out with their friends, and we would be sitting there discussing the story for 20 some odd years. We went through this. And then one day I just looked at him and I said, "What's that?" And he said, "I just didn't want you to think I was crazy." And then he told me the other story. And from that day forward, our children were pretty much out of the home, and I was on the internet 24/7 if I could for 2 solid years. I didn't talk to anybody about it. I just stayed on the internet searching, because this is my husband who had known all my life, and I knew he wasn't a liar. And I found it exciting. Bigfoot in Texas, really? So with that, I started to find out that what people were saying about Bigfoot was just, I couldn't believe it. They do this, they do that. And then I would see people do things like, "Well, I have Bigfoot hair," and they would show you the hair. And I was thinking, well, you might as well just lick it. I mean, you've contaminated it. You know, I was raised where if you were going to call it evidence, you got to treat it like evidence. And so I thought, okay, now I need to go out. I need to do this. I need to do this. And I need to see what I can find. But how would I go about it? And there are a lack of tools in this industry. I don't see people with tools. I see them with sticks, banging on trees, audio recorders, and it just didn't resonate enough that it did any good. It was stories, and it was great. It was awesome stories. But we have now thousands of stories. But what do we have as evidence? So just for me, I wanted to just feel like if I found something, how would I go about it? So I created the Wildlife DNA Kit. Now, of course, that's not saying I created it in the beginning. It's oh yeah, here they are. But I wanted to create something for myself. So in case I came upon something, I would be able to collect it. So I went with the medical community and the criminal, justice community, and found out how to put these together because I looked, and they were like hundreds of dollars. So anyway, this was born, the Wildlife DNA Kit, and I decided this is not to prove Bigfoot, this is to disprove everything else. Because what I was seeing were people that were calling everything Bigfoot, and I knew that, but I didn't know how to help, and to help myself. And so I hadn't even gone on with, sorry. Ridiculous. Sorry guys, I've been up for today. Anyway, my motto became, proof is truth. I felt like my dad would laugh at me if I said, Dad, there's Bigfoot out there and I saw it. He would say, Shelly Ray, where's your proof? So I needed to be that person, and I felt like the industry needed that. Because we're average people, right? I mean, we meet an occasional scientist, but who are we? We're citizen scientists. We're the community that's doing the hard work, right? We're the people that are out there trying to find proof, right? But do we have tools? No, not really. And I hear a lot of people complaining about the scientific community not believing us, or helping us, or wanting it to be proven, or giving it any seriousness. Why? Because we don't take it serious. Because what do? We talk about our stories. We talk about our encounters. We talk about how great it was, and how, hey, how many encounters have you had? Science doesn't care about that. Science cares about facts. And facts don't care about your emotions. So do you really care about the species, or do you care about your encounter? So that is what drives me. So every time well, this picture here, this is Truck Norris, everybody. I want you to meet my truck. Truck Norris. Truck Norris takes me all over the country. I spend 3 months every summer in the Pacific Northwest by myself. My husband stays home. And that is the Squatch Tower. I live in that, and fidget forward. And we get on the road, we drive 2,500 miles. I leave in June, and I come back in September. I've had the opportunities to visit every major Sasquatch sighting or encounter that history has in North America, and it's because of that DNA kit. People actually ask me to come and talk to the people about simple science collections. I'm no scientist, once again. And all I do is try to give people a tool, because it's for me. I mean, we're not going to, I can guarantee you, I'm not going to be the one that's going to prove Bigfoot exists, but what if the idea was with someone that actually did? That's a good job. I want my grandkids to say, my grandma was a pioneer. She hunted Bigfoot. I mean, we love it, right? We love our legends and our myths. And this is North America. This is the great North American Sasquatch. I don't want to go anywhere else. I think he's the most important discovery of our time, outside UFOs. Okay, sorry about that. Oh, Ethan. So, and I'm sorry I'm rambling a little bit, but I don't sleep very much. I suffer from insomnia, and then when I have a talk, I want people, I get really scatterbrained, and because I just want to do good, and I want y'all to enjoy this, and I want people to feel good about these kind of things. But, so anyway, I spend a lot of time in the Pacific Northwest, and I had been up there my first year for 3 weeks, flew home, jumped in the car the next day and drove 26 hours and went right back to look for Bigfoot once again. Anyway, I get there to this certain location with a certain group of people that I work with now, and the majority of people I work with are on Facebook. You don't know who they are, but they're very mentally disciplined, and that's important. Mental discipline separates you from emotionally attached. And I like that. I wanted to be around those people. I learned from those people. I think they respect the species. And he deserves that. He deserves our best. He doesn't deserve, this is not my story, this is a Sasquatch story, right? So anyway, when we get up there, I'm not really expecting anything, because facts are facts, and I hadn't seen any facts yet, so I'm not expecting much. But when we get there, as soon as we drive up, it's about dusk, and all of a sudden, on this ridge, comes this huge, powerful, like, shotgun sound, And I'm thinking, are there people out here shooting guns? And the guys were like, well, maybe, probably not, but. So I put out my recorders, I knew to do that, and 30 minutes later, about the third way down this ridge that's 10 miles to the top, if you hike it, and it's like a pow, just huge. And now I'm getting excited, but I'm thinking, surely not, this isn't Bigfoot. I didn't drive here and get out of my car and he's there. That just doesn't happen. Well, this goes on all the way through the night. And I'm not really believing it, I just can't. So the next day, everybody gets together, gets all the equipment, the FLIRs are all in place, we have FLIRs that record all night, everybody's recorders record all night for us, directional recorders, everything we could possibly think of. We have a plan. This is the way they taught me was no fire, no light, just lots of noise. And all the gentlemen go to bed. It's just me and a younger man. And we make a lot of noise. The next thing I know, there's 2 mocks coming, one on this side and this big guy coming down. And it's like these power knocks, they're just huge. And he's coming down. I can watch the knocks. This one over here doesn't move. It just stays in the meadow. It's almost like this one. I'm speculating. I don't know what I believe. I'm just telling you what happened to me. But I'm thinking, this one's not moving, theirs not moving. They're just knocking. Every time this one knocks back. But this one keeps moving. And it keeps moving closer to us. And the next thing I know, it's a full moon, by the way. A blue moon, the second full moon of the month. August 1st, 2015. The next thing I know, I'm watching enough moonlight from where the knocks are coming, and I hear this massive crack, and the birds fly out of the tree over my camp at 2 in the morning. And then I hear breaking in the woods, and then we hear this weird pop, and then it knocks out. And this is what I see. This is not 3, this is 1 that's gliding down the hill. My tent is right here. This is coffee stains because I had to draw it, but I was there for the investigation. It walks towards the other that's knocking lightly, and then everything stops. No more done there. I immediately look at my friend and said, do not talk to him. Because he sees it too. Because I say, what the f is that? And he says, he looks at the brim of my hat and goes, holy. And I say, don't talk. You draw your picture of what you saw, and I will draw mine. And tomorrow we will be interrogated, and then compared. Well, what I saw was it go through the tree 3 times, and then he sees it turn and go down. But he draws the same tree. So, I mean, I think that's pretty good, you know, but is it proof? No, it's not. It's a story. It's my story. I was there. Do I think it was Bigfoot? Yes. Can I prove it was? No. Can you tell me any different? Sure. But at the end of the day, it's still just a story. And stories are awesome, but science doesn't care about stories. We already have enough of that. We have enough stories. We have enough data. So anyway, footprint in the sand. And I also have audio of all of it, all of the actual tree knocks. And then we do all our data, we leave, we come back a week later, exact same spot, and I wake up to sticks and rocks flying at the tree next to my tent for 30 minutes. Scared me to death. I hid my head under my blanket with my head under my 45. And laid there for 30 minutes because I could feel these rocks hitting this tree and bouncing next to my tent, and I could feel it under my pad, you know, my sleeping pad. And I'm in a 2-man tent. And normally I keep the flaps open so I can look out, not unzip, but I know to be quiet and let the recordings continue because we're always recording. And I lay there not knowing what's going to happen next. I can't see anything. It's right before daybreak. And then I hear the birds chirp. And I know then I'm okay. I unzip, I jump out, and the guys, I'm with the 2 of them now, there's not the 4, they get up, and I'm like, did you hear that? And they're like, well, hear what? And I'm like, what do you mean what? Look at this, look at this, look at the sticks, look at the rocks, look at the tree. There were things hitting this tree, and I mean, a big, it was loud, you didn't hear that. No, Shelly, I didn't hear that. It's probably elk. But elk don't do that. My buddy, I'm trying to analyze the noise. I can't replicate it. The other gentleman who's on his both headphones, pulls the cards. We're talking. I'm excited. I'm upset. And you hear the rock noise outside the earphones come from. And he just says, I'm so sorry. Yeah. So I have both of those audios here. But we're going to try and play them. The first one is the 2 nights, and seriously, all I did, I had my recorder, I had 4 recorders out all the time. But I keep the recorder that I had didn't download, so I just held it up to my cell phone. And so hopefully that is loud enough. Let's see. DW? How do I turn? I think there's audio on this one. And if not, I have it. We all can listen to it. There is also going to be the bombardment video of the audio, and it's going to explain everything. That's going to be uploaded on Sasquatch Studies in about 3 weeks, but you guys are going to be the first to hear it. And so just to let you know, I wouldn't talk about this to anybody who would play any recordings or do anything, just ignored it for 6 months because I hated it. I hated the fact that I can prove nothing, and it upset me because then I started to second guess myself. Okay. That's fine. That's it. Coming closer. Very light. very light one. Now listen to this noise, it's very important. So, it played, but I think that knocked it. But that's okay. So at the 44. Knocking there. Don't worry about out. I can talk about it. So at the 45-second mark, you hear a noise that's basically, a pop, a little like that, as it's going through the woods before it shows itself. So I send the audio to an analyst that's he's a Bigfooter, or a researcher who does audio, a lot of deal with their projects. And I never tell him anything. I just said, well, listen to this. What do you think? I've got this recordings, and it's me literally holding my cell phone to the recorder. He comes back first thing and says, oh, you got a mouth pop. That means we're on the move. Which I found was interesting, and he moved. And he showed himself. So anyway, that's my little piece of Bigfoot heaven right there. That's, and then the bombardment. And I spend months in the woods. In the place where Bigfoot, basically originated, I believe, that's where we all think of him, or her, or them. But then the next one here, it's a video, it's a little bit longer, and there's some silent spots, but when you hear the rocks, you'll understand how I felt. So you can do that. Go to the next one, the next slide. Okay. Sorry, I hope I'm not dragging this along, guys. Like those are just snaps, and I'm not sure what those are. That's what I woke up to. The first one. There's some mumbling-ish issues in the back that we don't know what those are, and that you can't really hear them. That was the smallest bit. Flying rocks and sticks, and I have collected those. It's a one-way. Please teach it. You hear me call out? Yes, I do. So these are the sizes, and what I know is I know exactly where they came from. They came from the ridge behind me, where there was an old hunter's campsite. It was the only campsite in the area that had any kind of firewood and smaller rocks, because we had scoured this place for all our data from the 6 days before. So that's it on my encounter. That's it. And I think it's cool, but it's just another encounter. It's not proof. I mean, why would anybody believe me? And, you know, somebody can explain that those are other things that were hitting the tree or making that noise. You know, the trees pop in the middle of the night. I was there. I know that wasn't happening. Now, these are ponderosa pines. Ponderosa pines and lodgepole pines are very straight, very tall, but their pine cones are tiny. They're about so big, and there are no limbs from about 20 feet up down on the trunks of the trees. And so there was no broken branches laying around. It's a somewhat dry area, it's a mountainous area, but this was during the burn ban. So all firewood had been depleted, and it's just, you can see through the forest. There's no real ground cover, but it's very mountainous, and a lot of meadows and elk meadows, tons of elk. The weirdest thing was this coyote came into our camp that day, the day of the knocking, the second day where it came through, and screamed in our right at the edge of our camp all day long, just this weird, almost like a fox scream. And we thought, what is that? And finally the guys find it, and it's a lone coyote with an elk. The elk wasn't dead, she was bedded. I don't know if she was hurt or not, but it was screaming like, come on guys, and, you know, like his buddies are gonna come and help him slaughter the elk. I'm not sure, but it was all day long. I would say 4 hours of him just screaming. So that was odd. I don't know what that means or if it means anything. Those are the kinds of things we think about, right? So anyway, we can move on to the next slide. So I find in the Bigfoot community that people are really interested in their experiences and what is or is it proof. I'm really more interested in proving everything else before I even try to think it's Bigfoot. I think it's the last thing you should think. You should be knowledgeable about your surroundings, which most of us are somewhat, but not as much as we think we know. And this is a graph talking about stuff you know is the blue pie. Right here, we know what we know, right? So the red pie is what we know we don't know. We know we have ignorance about a lot of things, so that's how much we feel it is. But this is actually what we don't know. So when I get guys that tell me, I've been raising these roots all my life and I know what that was and what that wasn't, that's no bear. Red flag. You're not open, in my opinion, to learning more and realizing that there's so much more to learn. You're complacent with being good with what you know, which leads you in circles. In my opinion, I'm not that way. I think there's so much more I could learn from everybody in this room, and every animal and mammal in the world, and every ant and, you know, doodle bug. I mean, this is what I'm interested in. What do I not know? And I'm fascinated by the amazing things that wildlife in general brings. It's so simplistic, it's amazing, it's beautiful, and I want to know this. I'm very humble in the fact that I'm very opinionated, and I talk a lot, and I talk a big talk, but if you can show me something and teach me something, it's a good day, and I appreciate it. So, practice being mentally disciplined. I find most people don't. I find, and I hope I'm not offending people in here, it's not meant to. It's just, I want us all to find more awareness, because I believe Sasquatch is not what he was 20 years ago in this world. We've made him into something he wasn't. When Patterson and Gimlin were around, you know, when Roger and Patty and That's not the same Bigfoot. Our Bigfoots today, they're superhuman, super smart, super cool, super everything. They are. I mean, why, what happened? I mean, where did they learn all that stuff all of a sudden? Those are my questions. But anyway, I think being mentally disciplined is difficult for people. It's difficult for me. I get in the woods, we hear something, like, hey, did you hear that? Yes, yes. Everybody then starts to talk, even the most scientific people. Hey, did you hear that? Yeah, I heard that. Oh, yeah, that's not there. No, that's not there. That's what, next thing you know, we're all in agreement that that was not a bear. It was a Bigfoot. Well, I get myself out of that situation, and I get in my car, because I'm driving 2,500 miles, so I drive all over the place, and turn on my Bigfoot music, and start thinking, and then I start thinking, wait a minute, Shelly, step back. You need to research. You don't know everything. What could that be? And especially when I'm in other regions. I'm in Texas, I'm like, yeah, I know this armadillo. I'm an armadillo girl, I know that. But when I go to other regions, I'm like, oh, wait a minute, I don't know anything about this area. What's the grouse? So I dig. That's what I do. That's when I come home from the Pacific Northwest, I educate myself. I work hard, very hard. I'm very proud to say I'm an average girl trying to mimic science, and I'm going to do it. So being mentally disciplined takes a lot of nerve, it takes a lot of guts, it's hard to do, but we can do it. And I think people need to push their emotions aside. Don't lead your research with emotion, lead it with facts. What would a scientist do? That's all you gotta ask yourself. Give true facts value, not your opinion. Your opinion has really not that much value. If you're gonna go to a scientist and say, hey, I got a tree number. Okay, how do you know it was a tree number? Because I know I was there. Well, that's your opinion. Because we're here again. We may not know that cottonwood trees actually crack in the wind to make pterodactyl sounds. I had a guy go, oh my God, there's a pterodactyl in the woods, listen. No, that's a cottonwood tree. So we went over and watched the cottonwood tree, I know, I'm being really silly, but. So take away the emotion and your belief. Facts don't care about emotion and belief. Occam's razor, I know most of y'all know what that is, right? But do you really apply it? Most possible is most probable. So for me, it's discounting everything else before I can come to any kind of possible conclusion. Work that. And this opens your mind to other things. When you start working this way, you really start thinking about things that you didn't think about before, and how cool it is to learn the scientific method. And even if you're not doing it perfectly, you're trying, and it makes you work harder, and you're not just running in the woods and slapping sticks on trees and doing hell. Exhaust all possibilities. That's hard to do because we don't know all possibilities, but we try, and if you try, you will learn, and I'm learning every day. Bigfoot should be the last thing on the list. That's just the way it should be. That's in my opinion, and I think science will give us more attention if we try to follow rules like this. These aren't set rules. These are just kind of what I think are important. And I think then they will say, you know what, really? Well, give me a call. Can you send me an email? Show me what you got. Okay, just look at this is for Henry Edge because this is her favorite thing, and I told you all about that when I see people picking up hair and saying this is DNA, and I think, well, you also say that Bigfoot's got part human or is human, so you're contaminating it, so why don't you just lick it? That's simple. Video your process. People tend to want to take pictures. Video. If you're going to do, with my DNA kits, what I tell people is video the process. You have your buddy video it, set up a tripod. That way when it goes into the lab, they know exactly what your process was. If they find something of interest and think, well, I don't know, how did they do this? If you video it, it answers a lot of questions for those people. And then they understand you were being sanitary, whatever process you need to go about or don't. they see it in the whole video process. Treat the area like a crime scene. So when in crime scenes, when they collect DNA evidence or any kind of evidence, that person collecting the evidence has to give a saliva and hair sample. So they always have those on key so that it's never an issue of cross-contamination, or it just works out that way. I always say, if you want to know how to do it, just treat it like it's a bone line. Like that, okay, that's what I think is vasculature, but I'm going to treat it like it's going to give me a disease, and you will do the process correctly. And I've got more instructions about all those processes, but I just kind of want to skip through a lot of this. Give a sample of your hair and saliva, we know that. So, people ask me all the time, where did I send my DNA, where did I send my hair? I would never send it to anybody that was involved with Bigfoot, number one, scientist or non. I would never send it to a human DNA lab. I would send it to a wildlife DNA lab. There's one in Canada, there's one in Australia that I feel would be happy to handle any DNA you give them, hair analysis, and you don't tell them what you think it is, you just say, I don't know. And it's pennies on the dollar. I don't understand why people want to send DNA from the wild to a human DNA lab. I think we're dealing with wildlife, whatever it is, so why not deal with a wildlife lab? They can tell you just as much as a human lab can, and they charge you like $150 versus $5,000. And I've done a lot of research and talked to some of these people. I've been turned down for trying to get them to involve with studies with my kids and such and such. Another thing about collecting DNA. So I wanted to give you a couple of hints about some cool ways how science is really fun, and just going about this it's a great thing in my opinion. So y'all know about the Olympic Project nest that's circulating. They're talking about that maybe Sasquatch nest, and Dr. Meldon was out there, and they're giant. They found 16 of them, and I've been out there twice. And what we did is we did collect hair. They're doing actual eDNA of the bottom of the nest, the dirt. But what we did is we brought back one of the nests to the Olympic Project and let regular people learn how to collect hair, which was a lot of fun. One of the guys in line was there. But another thing, practice. This is bare hair. I knew it was bare hair. But that doesn't matter. I pulled all of my equipment out. I give you a sanitary pad to pull everything out, and we practice. I make videos about it. You are going to look for elasticity in primate hair. So keep that in mind. If it pops, it's most likely a hollow ungulate hair, like deer, hog, dog. But our hair has a little elasticity, as all primates do. So if you find hair that has a bounce to it, sort of like your hair, you might have something pretty cool, right? So another thing that I like to do, and you gotta be careful about this. Bird's nest. What birds like to use hair for their nest? You gotta be real careful. You can't be climbing up in trees, throwing the nest down. You can get a lot of trouble for that. But if you are on private land, you find one on the ground, deconstruct it. Pull it apart. Treat it like DNA. It's a collection of DNA. I found these long hairs in this nest. And I had them sent off, but I did it as just practice. I knew they weren't going to be Sasquatch hair, but I wanted to know what they were. I had elk beard is what those are. Super long. They're like that. So that was just so amazingly cool and fun and to learn, right? So think about those kind of tools and how can you implement that in your life, and I guarantee you it will lead you to other things that will help somebody. I mean, I had a young girl not long ago that I did a talk with. I do a lot of school talks, and Lila and I went and did a talk with some kids that have lost either a parent or a sibling. It's called Wild Wishes. It's put on by our friend. And one of the girls wanted to be a conservationist or a forensic scientist. And I did this talk, And she was like, oh my gosh. This is what I get to do. I understand now. So these kind of activities and processes and making your brain work a little harder and thinking, how can I improve my research, will open doors that you will not believe, because things even get better from here. Am I still good on time? So, unknown is a dangerous word. How many times have we heard, it came back unknown? What does that mean? Well, most people think it means Bigfoot. If you are sending out hair to someone that's doing hair analysis, that's really not a proven science, it's an opinion of what that person's knowledge is. They know so much, they look at a hair and they say, I don't know, I've never seen that. That doesn't mean it's not something that we know, it's elk or whatever, they're just not recognizing it, because hair analysis is very hard. Hair really is very hard to distinguish from each other. They do things like put super glue on hair shafts and peel them apart so they can read the scale patterns. That's microscopic. That's stuff I don't even know that I could tolerate. So being really careful about your wording. Unknown, I would be sending it to 3. If it came back unknown, that means I need to send it out 3 more times to 3 unbiased, non-Bigfoot scientists or analysts. And then if they come all to the same conclusion, unknown, then we might have something. Hair takes years to degrade, so just because you find it doesn't mean it was there, got put there yesterday. Never mention the word Bigfoot, Sasquatch when you're sending things out like this. Seek outside the United States. No. Okay, so this is a part I'm going to add in. I broke my computer, so I wasn't able to add in some new stuff. So when I came back from the Pacific Northwest, I was getting ready for a conference in Texas, in Jefferson, Texas. And I was the first speaker, and Dr. Meldrum was the last speaker. And I get really nervous, not necessarily about people I don't know, but about colleagues and people I look up to. I want to feel that they think what I bring to the table is knowledgeable, but yet, worthy and helpful and good stuff. Well, I do my talk. Dr. Meldrum comes up, he's the last speaker of the day, and he says, and I'm going to just pat myself on the back here. I just want people to know that Shelly Covington Montana is the example of a citizen scientist. This is what I'm asking from the community, is people like her. And I about fell over. Because I've always said if I could get the attention of one scientist, I might be doing it right. And from that day forward, he took me to lunch the next day. We talked about, and I know Dr. Meldrum, but I don't bother him. I don't call him and say, hey, I'm doing this. I just knew that if he ever saw me doing something like this, I would hope it would be good enough. And he asked me about my DNA kits. He said, I'm very proud of you. And that just turned my fire up. I was like, okay, it's working. It's working. I'm getting the attention. It's working. These are tools. This is working. This is helping the Sasquatch. This is what I want or what I think is important. So anyway, I go home and I Google the word citizen science. Because I've heard it, I've used it, but I never Googled it. I Google it, and I'm amazed at all the data, all the websites that are citizen science based that want to help people like me and you for free. They teach you how to collect data. They teach you how to make databases. I was just floored. NASA had a problem with something for about 25 years. Finally, they decided they couldn't solve it, so they sent it out to the general public 2 weeks to solve the problem. Then I started watching TED Talks, and then I started watching more YouTube about citizen scientists. What I found out is the government and private entities do not have the manpower or the money to get and collect all the data. They need us, and they're willing to teach us. And this is wonderful. This is what we all can use. It's free. So, in doing that, I've always been into tracking bushcraft. I'm always doing something. And I think of a prettier tracker of, good enough. Well, what I noticed on the citizen scientist website is a tracking website. It's associated with them called CyberTracker. Has anybody ever heard of that? CyberTracker? Okay. How many people in here consider themselves a tracker of some sort? Nobody? Oh, wow, that's okay. I mean, usually everybody, I've tracked all my life. And that's fine. But anyway, so I go to CyberTracker, and I'd seen them before, but now I see something. They are associated with citizen science. So, long story short, in 1992, 3, something around there, the state of Texas needed to do a study on otters. So everybody, all the biologists, the game wardens, start the collection, of all the data, which always starts with track and sign and score. That's how we get numbers, that's how we get conservation. And what they found out was over 40% of the identification was wrong. Our biologists didn't know what they were doing, the game wardens didn't know what they were doing, which was very concerning. So if Texas doesn't know what they're doing, nobody else knows what they're doing. So anyway, this gentleman, I'll have to give you his name. I'm at a loss right now, but decides, so conservation really means collecting data and then doing something about it, right? So this gentleman decides, okay, so if our biologists don't know what they're doing, we need to really get on the ball here. So they decide, what can we do? We need to get the average guy. We need to get people on the education road of how to truly collect data, how to truly create and track for conservation. And what they did is they went to Africa, and they realized Africa needed us because they were having such a huge poaching problem that they needed the science to help teach their people so that the world as a whole could learn how to track and sign for conservation. So CyberTracker was created. CyberTracker is the most prestigious tracking group in the world. If you are certified, you are eligible for hire. They teach you everything from tracking doodlebugs to humans, or anything you can think of. And I'm in that program. I'm working since the latter end of October till May, taking intense courses. I have a mentor who is a level 3 CyberTracker in Africa and a level 4 CyberTracker in track and sign in all of North America. I'm learning things that I had no idea animals even did. And this is leading me down the road of asking people to understand that animals, all wildlife, mammals, every entity in the world does have habits. They do the same things over and over for a reason. They get up, I'm learning that my next thing I've got to learn when I get back home is I'm doing skull identification on rodents that I'm going to dig out of owl pellets so I can identify the rodent skull. That's how in-depth and intense this is. It's all about measurements and it's science. Tracking is the original science of the world. If you go back to early man was probably a scavenger before he was a hunter-gatherer. So how did he scavenge? He followed the predators. How did he follow the predators? He learned how to track and find. which led to community, which led to here we are today. So this is what I'm doing, is I'm challenging myself to open up and learn more so that I can get out there and see something and say, no, I'm going to tell you that's why this isn't Bigfoot, and I'm going to tell you 4 reasons why it's not, and I'm going to tell you all the other animals it's not too and why. This is what I'm learning. It's extremely intense and hard. And I go for my certification in May. Pray to baby Jesus that shall be true. But they have forewarned us all. Only 10 people are being allowed into the one I'm going to. That 90% of people fail. But that's okay. I'll learn a lot. So, anyway, I just really want to share that because I think it is another tool. I think, and that led me from the DNA kit, the citizen science, the CyberTracker, and I'm opening my mind. I would have never thought of this 20 years ago. So I'm challenging you guys to do the same thing. So here's the end, and I'll be done. Why did Sasquatch cross the road? To prove to the unability it could be done. And the reason I say that is because people talk about Sasquatch is so smart. Well, why does he jet out in front of cars and when he's crossing the road? Why didn't he wait? So I just think the internet has made Sasquatch into something it really probably isn't, and that he deserves our best. He deserves our best research because he is the great North American Sasquatch. And the real world wants answers. Everybody's tired of the fake news. They're tired of the fake Bigfoot stuff. And we're the people doing the work. We're the people saying we're doing the work. We're the people saying that we're having the experiences. We need to step up our game. I'm challenging people to do this. If you believe in tree structures, you can go to the Citizen Scientist Organization data bank. They will help you create all the sheets and data collected. You need to go out, you need to measure everything on that tree, and you need to figure out what kind of wood he's using, because I'm telling you guys, what I've learned so far, animals pick the same things over and over and over, and so do humans. So you could collect that data, and then if you want to open it up to the world, then if the scientists want to come in and look at it, they will, because they do. This is how we get their attention. It's that we proceed with integrity and dignity, because the great North American Sasquatch deserves it. Thank you.
Come here, Slick.
What?
I was supposed to do this, and I apologize. Slick was going to introduce Shelly, so I'm going to let her do that real quick. While I get Jerry's presentation ready to go on the next one.
As you probably have figured out, I say about Shelly, when she gets to heaven, she's going to ask the Lord for his ID. You know that? That's what she's going to do.
I love
Thanks,
you.
Shelly.
Oh, thank you. I love you.